We are pausing to give thanks here in this country. A horrifying scene is still unfolding as we speak in India, the site of a mass terror attack. This morning, we'll talk about who may be responsible and what message they may be trying to send.
Let's get right to it then. Here's the latest from Mumbai, formerly known as Bombay. It is located on India's west coast. It is the financial capital of that country. Witnesses report hearing a series of explosions at the Taj Mahal luxury hotel this morning, or at least 10, and it's one of at least 10 locations targeted by gunmen across the city. In all, more than 100 people were killed. Officials say at least 8 gunmen were also killed, and more than 300 people were wounded. CBS News correspondent Sheila Macvicar is in London with the very latest. Sheila, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. Well, there's an ongoing hostage situation at one of those luxury hotels. There are reports of between 100 to 200 guests who may have been forced onto upper floors. There are other guests who are barricaded in their rooms. We have seen television pictures in the last few minutes of people being able to leave the hotel in groups of 1 or 2. As you said, more than 100 people known to have been killed, at least 300 wounded, and among the dead, India's chief of counterterrorism and 14 other police officers. Hours after it began, Indian special forces and police are still sweeping through at least one major hotel. People are trapped, others are still held hostage. This hotel guest is barricaded in his room.
There was a huge explosion very close to where I am at, that my entire room shook. Everything, table, chairs, everything, including me.
It was a sophisticated and highly coordinated attack. In an hour and a half, gunmen hit 10 targets in central Mumbai, including a train station, a hospital, a Jewish community center, and 2 major hotels catering to Westerners and business travelers, deliberately searching for Americans and British nationals.
Anyone who had a British or American passport, they wanted to know. So I guess they were after foreigners, yeah.
Gunmen burst into a hotel restaurant, rounding up diners, forcing them up the stairs.
He stopped us after 2 or 3 flights and told everyone to put their hands up and said, "Where are you from? You know, are there any British or Americans here? Show us your ID."
Alex Chamberlain managed to escape. The group that has claimed responsibility is previously unknown. 2 of the gunmen caught by photographers seem very young. An enormous police operation continues, the focus on releasing hostages, tracking terrorists, and clearing explosives.
Everybody has to be sniffed so that there's no booby trap.
India has experienced terrorism in the past, but never anything on this level. India's prime minister has just been on television telling his people these attacks were well planned and orchestrated with, quote, probable external links. And the Indian Navy is currently searching for a mothership. Harry?
Sheila Macvicar in London this morning. Thanks. Earlier, we spoke by phone with Mark Abel, a British lawyer trapped inside one of those hotels during the siege by terrorists.
Well, I've been 14 hours barricaded in my room with no food and very little to drink. So it's not the best of places to be at the moment. I've had to move all the furniture in front of the door. There's sporadic gunfire and small explosions. You can hear people running up and down the corridor occasionally and shouting. We're very close. I'm very close to where the terrorists are holding the hostages. So it's pretty scary here.
It's Mark Abel, who we talked to earlier this morning. He is still trapped in the hotel. Indian police have told him to cease communications with us.
Still a city under siege. Unbelievable. Thank you, Harry. Joining us now from London, terrorism and security expert Will Geddes. Good morning to you, Will.
Good morning, Maggie.
As we know, this little-known Muslim extremist group, the Deccan Mujahideen, has claimed responsibility for this, but investigators seem to believe this is likely the work of someone more organized and experienced. What's your feeling?
Well, it's difficult to say, again, with the limited information that's coming out at the moment. Understandably, the Indian government and law enforcement agencies is keeping as much of a wrap as they possibly can around some of the circumstances. Certainly, the Taj siege, where the hostages were being held, have now actually been released. There's very little information that has come out yet as to who actually were amongst the hostages. But there are speculations it could be a slightly more organized group that has more direct links to, it's believed, al-Qaeda.
From what you've seen, does it bear the hallmarks of a more experienced group?
Yes, certainly. I would say they hit simultaneously almost 7 different locations. And looking at the profile of the locations that they specifically targeted, these were all areas or places where travellers, foreign nationals and business people would be congregated. It looks as though their objective was also to take hostages. There were a number of different actions, including grenades, also the hijacking of vehicles, but aiming for those 2 very, very well-known hotels obviously shows that they had a very well thought-out agenda.
The question is why? We know that they struck in the financial center of Mumbai. Do you think perhaps they're trying to further derail the global economy?
Well, yes, it's altogether possible, certainly when we bear in mind that Mumbai is the epicenter for commercial and financial trading in India. However, one of the things which is being fairly sketchy at the moment is demands coming out of these particular individuals, out of these terrorists. And no visible demands have really come to light, which could mean one of 2 things. It's either going to be a subsequent demand or statement that will be made by the parent group later if things go to a very negative way, or secondly, this group actually had the ultimate objective right from the get-go to actually undertake what could possibly be a suicide attack.
What about the fact that they were targeting American and British tourists? What do you think, what message do you think they were trying to send to us?
Well, I think, Maggie, this was, again, or does have some hallmarks or associations to al-Qaeda ideologies. Certainly it's focusing at foreign nationals. Some of the speculations, again, and there are a lot of them at the moment, certainly connecting towards the Kashmiri region and Islamic extremists operating up there, would be far more of a domestic agenda or certainly motive, which would probably target more towards governmental issues and governmental targets rather than the international community.
Okay, Will Geddes, terrorism expert. We appreciate your insight this morning.